In Taoism, there is an important concept called Li. Now, if we are to translate that into English, we could translate that as the markings of jade, the grain of wood, and the fiber of muscle, right? Now, I speak about this in two of my books on Taoism, Effortless Living and the Tradition of Natural Taoism. Now, if you are interested in either of these books, they will be in the pinned comment and in the description. And if you're interested in my work and want to meet me in person, I have two upcoming pilgrimages to Nepal in November and to South India in January next year. A link for both pilgrimages will be in the pinned comment. Now, getting back to this idea of Li, right? So Li is this organic pattern that we find in the universe. So in the translation, they say markings of jade, grain of wood, fiber, and muscle, right? Which basically is talking about this inherent pattern within something, right? And so we find Li in nature, like the grain of wood, right? We find the grain of wood in a tree, right? Which is its distinct Li. Right. Now, what about Li on a human level? Sure, we can talk about Li in the sense of our nerves and our organs and everything like that. There's a certain pattern within the body that produces this human organism. But what is the metaphysical idea of Li in relation to a human? It's in relation to our psychological dispositions. Now, this is important to understand, particularly if you gravitate towards a certain hobby or vocation or whatever it may be. You have to analyze why that is, right? Because when we're talking about psychological dispositions, the Li of psychological dispositions it's what you gravitate towards. Like, say, for example, if you gravitate towards playing the guitar, right? So you're good at playing the guitar, you feel like there's something in it and you're exploring that. You can't really quantify why you're interested in it, but something has captured your attention and your imagination and you are following that path of playing the guitar, of being a musician, right? And so that's probably what your Li is. You're following what your Li is. For me, it's writing books and creating these videos for you. I didn't really set out to write books or create videos. When I was first writing, there was no YouTube, right? So I'm writing articles and this and that for websites, which ended up transforming into books and then eventually starting to create content for the digital world. And so there's this whole arc, but the whole premise of it was exploring spiritual knowledge, right? And teaching spiritual knowledge, which has become my Li inadvertently, right? I didn't really set out to do that. And that's kind of how it is for everyone, right? You might be interested in playing sport. You might be good at football, for example. And so you're good at football and then that becomes your Li. You don't know why it is, but it becomes second nature to you, right? And so that's how Li is evoked, right? It's just evoked, not in a sense of you are searching for your Li, it just naturally happens, right? And so that can often only happen when you're giving your mind the space to allow that to happen. If you're living a very busy, chaotic life, not many people can find their Li. And that's why in the modern day, not many people find their Li, because they're busy online playing with their silly phones and so forth, and on social media all the time. There's no Li there. Right? There's no Li there. You cannot find what your inherent psychological disposition is. Nobody can say that searching or doom scrolling the social media feed is your Li. It's not. It's a complete distraction. Your Li is found in stillness, right? This is the secret in Taoism. It's found in stillness and humility, and not searching for something. You find your Li, right? Like I said with the example of someone playing the guitar, they didn't really search for it. Or maybe, let's say someone could be forced as a kid to go to guitar lessons. But most of the people who become really good at something just naturally stumble across it or are allowed to follow whatever that path is, right? And so you naturally stumble across it. And this is actually how you align with the river of Tao, right? Which is the virtue of Tao, right? The river's power becomes your power. You're not fighting your life anymore or holding onto the banks of fear. You're just let go and you're just following the river, the current of the river, and you align with it. This is duh. And so in doing that, you find your Li, right? And so that gives you this power in your life to follow the psychological disposition and path you've been meant to follow, right? And so in doing that, we come to another concept in Taoism, which is called yin. This is mutual resonance and independence, right? This idea of yin. So yin is a product or a byproduct of Li, right? In following your Li, you have this yin. And so what this basically means is, if we use the guitarist as the analogy, right? Where in someone following their path as a guitarist, they eventually end up on the stage, which then pulls people towards them, and that enlightens their own lives, right? That inspires their own lives, right? And so a musician knows this deeply, or an athlete knows this deeply, because you get a crowd, right? If you're really good at something and you follow that path of Li to its nth degree, you end up producing yin, this mutual resonance and independence, which then builds this sort of harmonic resonance where people come and get inspired by you, right? That's what Li is about. That's how we inspire others, by following our own Li. We all have that within us, but we don't give ourselves the time and space to find that, right? In me discovering what is my path in life, I had to give myself the time and space. I had to live in $1, $2 guest houses in my 20s when I was younger, right? In exploring these traditions and traveling the world. You're not in the most comfortable circumstances or convenient circumstances, but there's something there, and you continually follow that path for some reason, and then you end up where you end up, right? It's like following the river to the greater ocean, right? If you continue to follow the river, you'll end up in the ocean of Tao. Now, that's what Li does if you continually follow it. You find the Tao in your Li, right? And so you become an aperture for the universe to express itself. This is what is important in our lives when we find our Li, because we become that aperture and we inspire others to find their own Li. But as I mentioned, you have to have the bravery to give yourself the time and space, which won't be based on money or wealth or financial freedom, but will be based on your own individual liberation in this life, which will be the inspiration that will fuel others to follow in your footsteps. Shanti, shanti, shanti.